richieLaw.com.
That's richieLaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Back across, Aho gets a stick to it. He's been on the ice for a while, but he'll keep it across the rink. Orloff shot, save made, rebound. Game over! Sebastian Aho fills the lane, and his 600th career point gives Carolina a 4-3 win in overtime.
Mike Maniscalco with the big call from Sunday evening at Lenovo Center as Sebastian Aho gave Carolina the extra point. It was a fun night. We'll have a fun game tonight in Tampa as the Hurricanes are back on the ice. This is a game that was rescheduled. Remember, This game was supposed to be the second game of the season.
Their makeup game.
Supposed to be the start of the home and home. Mm-hmm. Right? It was here and then there against the Lightning to start the season. We never got to the there because of Hurricane Milton, which just ravaged the central part of the state of Florida. And so this is the rearranged game there. Hurricanes will have 3 more home games coming up the rest of the week. Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And the Sunday game is, of course, the Eric Staal Jersey retirement against the, by the way, kind of plucky Anaheim Ducks. They've become a factor in the West.
They've been working on themselves.
Oh, they are good. It's like half the team is young, half the team is veterans.
Dangerous combo.
They are dangerous at this point. So don't look at just Anaheim.
No.
That's a good hockey team right now.
Don't dismiss them.
And tonight's game for Carolina in Tampa against a really good Lightning squad. Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam. That's Victoria. We're on YouTube live right now, as we are every day. YouTube.com/Adam Gold Show, or you can just go to 99.9 The Fans YouTube page, and we are right there. You can even contribute in the chat.
Yeah.
We get comments in the chat.
I read them. We bring them up.
Yes. I don't read them because I don't have the chat up.
I tell you about them.
Yes,
that's why I keep
exactly.
you informed.
That's the way it should work.
And sometimes people will wave, and I'll wave back.
And what I need, though, I need you to do that during the podcast. Because I get that on the podcast, too, when I do the Canes Corner podcast, which we also do live on YouTube. So after the game tonight against the Lightning, we do the post-game show, and then I get to the podcast. And it's hard because we get a lot of comments after the game against Pittsburgh. Before we start, I usually go through the comments and then write down the stuff I just want to say, right, about, I shout out people where you are. If you are in Wilmington, I say hi, all of that stuff. And I do that before because once the podcast begins,
it's rolling.
It's hard to go through that. So there were 140 comments after I started the podcast on Sunday night.
A little difficult to read.
Can't do it.
While you're talking.
Now, a lot of that is just people talking to each other.
Yes.
Which is fine.
Yes.
It's a forum for you to communicate with fellow Caniacs, and that's great. But I need somebody to tell me, hey, somebody said this.
I'll do it.
You should talk about it.
That's my new
side thing.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Okay.
And I'll make sure to make different facial expressions when it's a bad one or it's someone throwing shade, some cane shade.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Exactly. All right, let's get going. Plan right now is to talk to Rod Brind'Amour in about 10 minutes. That is the plan right now. We'll find out if that's going to happen. The Hurricanes skated in Tampa this morning in advance of the game.
We should ask him if he has a New Year's resolution. Is this
he
first
definitely
time
doesn't do New Year's resolutions.
He doesn't need to lose weight, so that's not on the board. He's already fit, so check that box. But,
he absolutely is.
Yeah.
I do wonder, though, and it's for a different conversation, but I do wonder, does he hate when Every member of the media calls him Rod the Bod. Every member. It's hysterical. I was listening to NHL radio on satellite, on Sirius.
Yep.
On the way in this morning. And, they're talking about the Hurricanes. Rod the Bod has the team playing the way he wants. Which is not always right. Right, but everybody calls him Rod the Bod. Mm-hmm. It's just hysterical to me.
It's like his middle name now.
It's always been. Kind of always been. I'll get back to the Hurricanes here in a second. It's a pretty big night for ACC basketball. So we'll talk to Wes Durham about this a little bit later on. He's got the call of SMU's visit to North Carolina tonight, 9 o'clock game on ACC Network. But it's a pretty big game, pretty big night for this reason. Because I think there are 6 teams in the ACC. It doesn't matter if there are more than 6 teams that might be physically capable of playing at a high level, right? There are 6 teams right now that I think have a chance at postseason play, meaning the NCAA tournament. There's a lot more that have a chance at the NIT. And they're all playing each other tonight. So you've got Pitt at Duke, 7 o'clock on ESPN. You have got Clemson at Louisville, also at 7 o'clock. That's on ESPNU. And you have SMU at North Carolina at 9. Those 6 teams are the 6 right now that might be NCAA tournament teams. Some of them are, of course, they're going to be NCAA tournament teams. I'll go through real quick one maybe nugget about each game, and this is really about ramifications more than anything else. So Pitt at Duke. If Duke wants to be a number 1 seed, it's a pretty big game because of this reason. And not to harp on quad 1, quad 2, etc. But this is the way the NCAA committee groups teams and sorts teams and seeds teams. Doesn't matter whether or not it is regularly accurate. Last year, I felt it was not accurate. I felt that the Big 12 was being largely overrated based on every game they played, it seemed, was a quad 1 game, no matter who they played. This year is going to happen in the SEC. 75% of SEC games are quad 1 win opportunities for both teams. That's just a fact, right? Based on what the numbers say. Right now, the ACC has 2 teams that, when you're the home team, that it's a quad 1 opportunity for. That's it, just 2. It's close, and those numbers will fluctuate a little bit, but not a ton. Anyway, if Duke wants to be a 1 seed, they only have so many cracks at quad 1 wins. So either win all your games, in which case they'll compile, 4 more quad 1 wins, maybe at best, or, right, win the important ones. And this is the important one. It's a big game for Pitt, too. But if Duke wants to be a 1 seed, they got to win games like this. They are better than Pitt, but Pitt is no joke. So that's my quick big picture comment about the Blue Devils. Very quickly, Clemson at Louisville. I think it's a bigger game for the Tigers than it is for the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are a team that needs wins like this just to be considered for the NCAA tournament. But Clemson is in a place where they've got some losses, some not bad losses, but losses to significant teams that are eating away at their seeding right now. And this is a game, it gives them a quad 1 opportunity on the road at Louisville, where do you want to be seated in the top half? Do you want to wear a home jersey on the first game? Well, then these are games you have to win. Now, again, Louisville is playing for probably just inclusion. Clemson is playing for, at least at this point, placement. But I think it's a bigger game for Clemson. SMU at North Carolina. I'm just going to look at this from a Tar Heels perspective. What you did, especially late, thanks to Elliot Cadeau's heroics in South Bend, now what you've got to do is build on it and be better. Because let's be honest, they led for most of that game. Notre Dame probably is an NCAA tournament quality. But in the second half, they kind of fell apart. Notre Dame left the door open. Elliot Cadeau bashed it in. Now, can he get better? Can R.J. Davis try to rediscover a jump shot? And can you find one of those big men that can be a factor for 25 minutes? One. Then Alan Lubin, to me, should be a bench player. Should be a depth guy. I think it's got to be Jalen Washington. But that's what for North Carolina, they've got to find one guy who can play 25 or so minutes, be a factor on both ends of the floor, and by all means, go get some rebounds. Get a couple of second chance points, putbacks, become a factor on the offensive glass. Right now, Carolina, I think they're going to get Seth Trimble back tonight. They got to be a factor there. Absolutely must be a factor there. Real quick about the ACC and the NCAA tournament, since it's never too early to start talking about it. Not that I pay a ton of attention to it, but I just glanced at Joe Lenardi's bracketology today. I haven't looked at Jerry Palm's, but he has both Carolina and Louisville both in the field right now, and not even in the first four. We'll see what happens as the season wears on. Always point out that you still have to come up with a full field. 68 teams are going to play in this sucker. So you got to find enough teams to put in. So maybe that will benefit some of the more questionable ACC teams. All right, before we get to Rod Brind'Amour, the NFL is searching. This is the coaching search season. Doug Peterson was let go. There are 4 teams right now that definitely have coaching vacancies. The Patriots, who fired Gerard Mayo. Again, I'll be surprised if it's not Mike Vrabel there. The Jets, who fired Robert Saleh after week 5. Whoever the Papa Smurf isn't going to get the job. The Saints, who moved on from Dennis Allen. That job is open. The Bears, who fired Matt Eberflus late in the season. That job is open. Dallas could move on from Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones is, because he's out of contract. His contract expired at the end of the year. So Mike McCarthy is free to talk with other teams. The Bears have requested permission because he hasn't yet officially hit the market. The Bears have requested permission for Mike McCarthy. And I'm sure Dallas will grant that permission. And if McCarthy wants to go coach the Chicago Bears, he'll be allowed to do that. And then Jerry Jones can say, well, the Bears really wanted him, so I didn't want to stand in his way. Whatever. And they've certainly got a coach, or rather a quarterback there, that you can work with, because I think Caleb Williams will be fine. Vegas has Vegas come out and said Antonio Pierce is our guy? I hope they do, because I think Pierce has something. They don't have a good team. Sometimes it ain't on the head coach.
Yeah, nobody wants to stay there.
The Giants decided that they were going to keep Brian Daboll. And whether or not that's a smart move or not, I thought Brian Daboll in year 1 with better personnel looked pretty good. Wasn't great. They got off to a great start, hung on, made the playoffs, and I think won a playoff game. But the last couple of years, what has happened is that we figured out that Daniel Jones isn't good. He's had injury issues too. But we found out that Daniel Jones isn't good.
And now the Vikings have 3 quarterbacks.
Yes. Well, we don't. I mean, how many do they really have?
Yeah.
Because we don't know about J.J. McCarthy, Sam Darnold. You know, it's amazing how fast they were ready to jump off the bandwagon with Sam Darnold, isn't it? Like seriously, we went from MVP candidate. I kid you not. Like I don't play those games. I never thought Sam Darnold was an MVP candidate. No. To me, there were two candidates only. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I think it's Allen, but I ain't going to be surprised if Lamar Jackson wins it based on the season he had, which was amazing, and they finished strong. But we went from Sam Darnold as an MVP candidate to same old Sam when he lost at Detroit.
Seeing ghosts.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Why do we do this in the NFL? The wind.
All the time.
Oh, the wind's blowing this way.
Never mind.
Come on.
Let's go back.
It's unbelievable how reactionary we always are. I say we. I try not to be. How reactionary the NFL media is. Like, Sam Darnold had a great year. Minnesota doesn't have a ton of amazing wins. Remember, they had a terrible year last year.
Yeah, their resume this year was not difficult
was it amazing?
at all.
So, but Darnold played great. There's no doubt about it. He is a capable NFL quarterback. He isn't one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He had a great year. There's a difference between those two things, right? I think Darnold and Baker Mayfield, if you're asking me who would you rather have, I think I'd rather have Baker than Sam.
I would.
I don't think there's a ton of difference between the two. I think they're both bottom half of the league starting quarterbacks. Now, the top half of the league starting quarterbacks are a little, they're a little shaky. Anyway, Darnold is who he is. I think he can be your starter, but you're going to, and this was true before Sunday, and it'll be true 3 years from now, that they're going to be, I think he's a better version of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think he's in that same category of that. Maybe even Brock Purdy, even though I like Brock Purdy. I feel like he's got more potential than Sam.
I think Purdy is a step above.
Yeah.
The way Purdy plays, I think, is better than Darnold.
Oh, big time.
So
he doesn't freak out. He's so calm.
Yeah. I think San Francisco is going to keep him. I think what they would like, though, is for that salary cap number to not be ridiculous.
Yes.
So I think we'll see some creativity from San Francisco in how they go about the business of paying Purdy. Because I do think Kyle Shanahan does recognize that it's important to have a great team around the quarterback, especially if it's a quarterback that isn't going to be a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes that can drag you, even if your team isn't great, that can drag you where you need to go. So that's, to me, important. But Darnold isn't one of those guys. If somebody wants to pay Darnold that money, shouts to you, man. Good luck with that, because it ain't going to work for you. It is not going to work for you, because I do think ultimately J.J. Henry is a professional golfer.
Right.
J.J. McHenry. Yes, J.J. Henry is a clothier.
Yeah.
I bought my suit at J.J. Henry's.
Right.
Anyway, J.J. McHenry is going to be their quarterback probably next year. I mean, maybe they keep Darnold, but I think it's going to be J.J. McHenry. All right, real quick, we're going to take a break in a second and talk to Rod Brind'Amour just on the other side. This game for the Hurricanes tonight, Carolina has not won 2 in a row since the 15th and 17th of December. It's a huge challenge against one of the best teams in the league. And Tampa has, I think they lead the NHL in scoring, 3.7 goals per game. They are in the top 3 on the power play, which, shocking. Kucherov, Point, Hedman, et cetera, is going to be great. Jake Gensel, too. Remember that Jake Gensel guy's got like 23 goals this season. That's just the way Jake Gensel is, man. He's a dynamite goal scorer. So it's going to be an enormous challenge for this team tonight. It'll be Pyotr Kochetkov. I will point this out as we break. In the last 2 games where Kochetkov has come up against elite Russian goaltenders, they've been arguably his 2 best games of the year. The game in New York against Igor Shesterkin, where Shesterkin was great and Kochetkov was better, stood out. And the game against Bobrovsky in Florida. Remember that, in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Kochetkov was better than Bobrovsky, but he was as good. If Kochetkov can be as good as Andrei Vasilevsky tonight, I like the Hurricanes' chances. But he's got to be that. He's got to be that tonight. And we'll come back and we'll talk to Rod Brind'Amour about that on the other side. This is the Adam Gold Show. Victoria's here. I'm here. We're going to talk hoops. We're going to talk NFL football. We're also going to hear from Bryce Young in his own words. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's bowl season.
Happy New Year!
Listen for college football's best through January 20th. Every major bowl will be brought to you live.
A 58-yard touchdown sprint for Nick Singleton, and that may just do it tonight. Penn State 30, Boise State 14.
Bowl season on 99.9 The Fan and Buzz Sports is presented by Wake Med, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and Roofworks.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Adam Golden Studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. When I say everything for the exterior of your home, I mean it. So tell me everything that you have for the exterior of my home.
There's so many things I can't even remember the entire list. You know,
Good luck.
Thanks for the test here. But windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters, gutter guards, railings, you name it. We have the exterior home improvement you're looking for. The main thing is we're a one-stop shop, right? So you don't have to call 2 or 3 different contractors if you need your roof done and you need your windows done. You can call one company and have it all done.
I like that. French doors.
French doors.
I like French doors. I can't speak French, but I like French doors. Can I tell you, back in the day, you guys did French doors and every window in a home I used to own.
Well, thank you for your business.
It was incredible. Can I also tell you that it was done in like 2 days? Is that even possible?
It is possible.
How do you guys do work that fast?
We're good.
You're fast.
Good.
That's Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. They do the best work in the industry and the best customer service in the industry as well. AluminumCompany.com.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is Adam Gold.
Yeah, but he's real patient, like he said in his interview today.
In all other aspects of life.
Yes.
If he's in line at the drive-thru and it's taking a long time, he will not ram the car in front of him.
Exactly. Someone's pressing his shirt. He will wait 30 seconds for it to be crisper.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Set the table for you for the rest of the program. I'm going to talk to Rod Brind'Amour in about 5 minutes. Next hour, Wes Durham, voice of the ACC. He will join us. He's in Chapel Hill for SMU's visit to UNC. And then in the third hour, we're going to talk with Steve Logan, former East Carolina head coach. He has been in the National Football League as an assistant, longtime college coach. He's done NFL Europe, and he knows quarterbacks. We're going to talk about Bryce Young, and also some quick thoughts on Dave Doeren. Let me just set this up, because I remember when Dave came on this show, this was a couple of weeks before, or a week or so before the bowl. It was a couple of weeks because we were our last show was the 19th. Actually, I think our last show might have been, I think it was the 19th. I don't even know.
I don't know.
The Thursday before Christmas was our last show.
Right.
Whatever date that was. And Dave was on earlier that week. We talked to him and Blake Harrell. I think it was the same day. And I asked Dave about playing a rival in the, a rivalry game in the bowl game. And Doeren said, because I know WRAL Sports Fan did a story on it, and it was picked up elsewhere. And Doeren said, well, they're not a rival. A rival is somebody you play every year. Which, look, I'm not going to get into a debate over who's a rival and who's not. You don't play Duke every year, right? And they should be a rival. State should play Duke every year, just like you play Wake every year. And you play, I don't even know how it works anymore. Or you play UNC every year. But whether you want to admit it or not, NC State versus East Carolina is a rivalry. There's just no getting around it. It matters to rivals are really created by fans. And there's a lot of East Carolina fans and a lot of NC State fans that live next door to one another. So, to me, to deny that as a rivalry is, it's big brother, little brother. Big brothers don't want to admit that it's important to beat your little brother or to take your little brother seriously. Little brother wants to beat your rear end all the time. And I just know, my two kids are separated by 10 years, so it's a little different. But it's not necessarily anything. It's not like they competed against each other athletically because, I have a grown man as a 26-year-old and somebody who thinks he's a grown man and is a 16-year-old, right, but he's not. But they compete at other things, like they compete in golf, right? Or they compete in video games. And the 16-year-old wants to beat the 26-year-old. He wants to talk junk to him. And it's not entirely the same, but it's similar. And I laughed when Dave wouldn't give it the rivalry treatment. And you knew that if East Carolina was going to win that bowl game, regardless of how it happened, that was going to be an issue. And so I was watching a bit of a podcast that Steve Logan did with Stephen Igo, who runs Hoist the Colors, 24/7 site, East Carolina site. And Logan said, professionally, that's a damaging loss for Dave Dorn, because that's a loss that kind of eats it away. I'm trying, I don't know the specifics of what he said. I know I don't recall exactly the specifics, but my read was that it doesn't put your job in jeopardy. It's not one of those. But if it continues to be just kind of it's one of those things that, like, why can't you beat East Carolina? Yeah, I know. They're playing with a little bit of a new head coach bounce, all of that, and the portal, and all of the stuff that goes on, and player attrition, but it was probably a game that NC State should have won but didn't win. And now they will play to start the season. Anyway, we'll get more into that with Steve Logan later on. But I did find that whole dynamic fascinating. So we'll talk Bryce Young and the NC State loss to East Carolina. And by the way, you people know this, especially if you're a State or a Pirate fan, they will open the season against one another. Rod Brind'Amour, the head coach of your Carolina Hurricanes, is joining us now on the Adam Gold Show. All right, I want to start real quick with the end of the game on Sunday night. I was screaming, I kid you not, I was screaming in the press box, why is Sebastian Aho still on the ice? 90 seconds into overtime. So were you also screaming that? And, I mean, obviously the end was great. But what did you see from your best player?
Well, he had a great game. And, especially remember he was going against Crosby all night. So tough matchup, and thought he really rose to the occasion and really got the better of him. So that was, huge, obviously, for that game. And in that moment there, I wasn't too concerned. It was, he didn't start the overtime, but he got out there 10 seconds into it. And he was about to come off. He was heading that way, and, he saw an opportunity, and that's what the good players do. So he pounced on it, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, it was a great finish, too, because that was not an easy it took a lot of hand-eye coordination, and he also beat Crosby to the net there, right. So he had some burst after being on the ice for 80 seconds. What is the impact of 13-3 in the face-off circle?
Wow, that's the game right there. That's puck possession. That's starting your shift with the puck. I mean, just think of it, if it was the other way. Now you're, chasing Crosby around for all those shifts. So that's the importance of faceoffs. People don't understand it that much. I mean, it's just, it might not show up like, it doesn't turn into a goal, but all of a sudden you look back, because very rarely does a guy dominate the faceoff circle and not have a good game just because, the puck's on your tape or your team's tape. And that's what you want to start your shift with.
Yeah, he's been very good lately in the faceoff circle. If I'm not mistaken, he might even lead your team right now, either he or Jack Drury. A few games ago, Aho was talking about, maybe it's longer than a few games ago, he was talking about chemistry. It looks like he's got that with Seth.
Well, they've kind of always had it. They haven't played maybe a ton together. Kind of used Jarvie in different areas, but it's pretty clear that, those guys seem to be, they're just good hockey players. You should be able to put good hockey players together and figure it out. And those two are obviously that.
All right, let me ask you about Seth, because I saw his reaction to the first goal that he scored, and that was an unbelievable period, where he was like, finally, because he knew that the Minnesota game could have gone completely differently had he buried one of those two chances late in the first period. How big of a goal, this is a stupid question, but how big of a goal was that for Seth?
It's probably, you're right. I mean, goal scorers or guys that expected to score on our team, they know it, right? Especially when you had some opportunities, and he's had, quite a few this year where you're like, man, that's got to get in there. And but that's also a good sign, right, when you're getting the opportunities. So obviously he buried that. I think that certainly made him have good vibes going for the rest of the game. And like you said, he was very impactful.
Oh man, to me, your two best players were 20 and 24 for the game. Andrei Svechnikov played with Staal and Martinook, and I'll ask you about combination in a second. Did you see like some breakthrough moments from Andrei?
Well, he made a nice play on the one goal, and he set up Jordo on another one, kind of similar play, where this didn't go in. But we talked a lot about it. We need him on the score sheet, scoring goals, but he also should be impactful. And what that means is just what we talk about, being around it. So we go through a game, maybe he doesn't score, but you say, he was a good player for us. So that's his game. That's what we have to do it. And hopefully, Jordan will bring that out in him, more consistent basis.
The last road game you played in Florida, which was a great performance as a team, you had Staal in between Necas and Svechnikov, probably more for defensive purposes than anything else. Will you go that way again and have Kokoniemi between Martinook and it's not going to be Carrier is my guess.
No, we'll probably keep it just the way we did it the other night. We moved Robbie up. That line was good early in the year. Robbie kind of, I think helps those guys out. And if we can get, and then that KK, if we can get him playing a little more straight line, I think that'll help Netzi out too. And hopefully get those guys going. Because that line's, generally, we always talk about it, but kind of the key. We need some production there, and, we'll see. But obviously, I think Will's going to be out again here for a little while, so I think we'll probably ride this out for as long as he's out of the lineup.
All right, so you lead me to injuries. You say Will's going to be out for a little while. Can you define a little while?
Well, it's not really, because it's kind of, we're hoping that it's not too bad. Kind of have to see how he responds over the next couple of days, but that's a blow because he was playing really well for us.
He's a dynamite player. Let me ask you about the other injury. I know Shane Gostisbehere is on IR now. Do you feel like that is like when I say long term, is it a month? What can you tell us about Gostisbehere's situation?
Yeah, he's been out for a little while now, and I think he did skate yesterday, which is nice, but I think he'll be out. It is definitely now. We're probably at a week-to-week kind of situation, so it's definitely not around the corner, but moving in the right direction.
All right, that is obviously good. Do you think there's anything to Pyotr Kochetkov going up against an elite Russian goaltender that brings out good performances? Because I think his two best performances in the last 2 months have come against Igor Shesterkin and Sergei Bobrovsky, and he's got Vasilevsky tonight.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. Could also be that there's just a lot of Russian goalies around, so you're bound to, when you have a good game, you're playing against the Russian goalie. There seems to be a lot of those nowadays. But maybe he, I don't know, has a little more fire in the belly, which is hard to believe because he's a pretty competitive guy all the time. But we're going to, listen, we know Vasilevsky's one of the best, if not the best. So we need Kuch to be on his game.
Yeah, and you're going up against a team that leads the NHL in goals per game, and they're one of the top power play units. This is a broken record about the Tampa Bay Lightning. What is it, other than they've got Kucherov and point, what is it about their power play and their offense that is so threatening?
Yeah, well, you kind of just said it. I mean, that Kucherov he's elite as they come, and the stuff that he can do with the puck and where he puts it for his teammates it's another level, right? And then you got Point, who's right up there too. Put those two together, and dynamic as heck. So we know that we've played these guys enough over the years. You're not gonna shut them down, but you got to try to contain them as best you can.
If I could ask you one question about what's coming up this weekend, just your thoughts on Eric Staal, what he meant to the organization, the player he was, and what Sunday is going to be like.
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, listen, he was everything. He was a great Hurricane. Gave everything he had for the organization when he was here. He was a great player. I mean, he was just a solid human being, as you know, and just represented us really well. So I think it's really a great honor, and I'm glad we're doing it for him. And I'm looking forward to that for him, but I'm also looking forward to seeing some of the old guys, resurfacing, coming back and spending some time with those guys, because that obviously was a special group.
Who's going to get hurt in the alumni game?
Yeah, I hope not. Don't jinx that. That's we don't want that. Bunch of old guys out there. That's the only bad part of that. But that should be fun, just to be around those guys.
You think it'll be emotional for his brother?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a question for him. I mean, those guys were close, and obviously they got the opportunity to play here for a few years there, so that was a special time. And I know Jordan's certainly proud of Eric and what he was able to do as a Hurricane.
Good luck tonight against the Lightning, and I will see you later in the week.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, Rod. Rod Brind'Amour. I appreciate, by the way, Victoria, you putting Rod the Bod up there.
I was wondering if you noticed that.
I noticed it, but I'm going to leave that conversation for another time when Rod has more time. I kept him probably longer than he wanted just there. But look, that's he is Rod the Bod. I do think when we get to Sunday, and I'm going to be very quick here. When we get to Sunday, it's going to be interesting because I think Hurricanes fans. Rod Brind'Amour is the best player that ever wore the sweater. And this is not a knock on Eric Staal, because to this date, Staal is a very close number 2. A very close number 2. More offensive numbers, obviously. And I think at times we forget just how freaking good Brind'Amour was. But Staal's the first superstar player that this organization produced. He's an original Hurricane. Rod was imported from Philadelphia. So the fact that he's your first homegrown star, and it's a bittersweet thing for me, having covered this team since '98. I got here the year the Hurricanes moved here. Man, I arrived midway through that season, but that's when I got here. And I've been with this team since they moved to Raleigh. And it has been kind of odd to see how the fan base treated the best homegrown player they have ever had. Because if we're being honest, fans weren't great to Eric Staal. When he was going good, when the team was going good, the Hurricanes loved Eric Staal. Hurricanes fans loved Eric Staal. But when the teams started to struggle, it was about Eric's not good enough. Eric's not playing up to his contract. It made it very difficult, I think, on Eric. He probably won't admit it, but I was in the locker room after every game. And he grew into his role as the captain, much like his brother has grown into his role as the captain. And they became such incredible leaders and spokesmen for that locker room. I think they're both incredible people. I'm thrilled to have covered both and been able to speak on a regular basis to both. I have so much respect for Eric and Jordan, but it was tough. It was tough on Eric when they couldn't get over the hump. And then, by that point, his performances were not consistently great. He was up there in age. Like every hockey player, when you get to, 32, 33, just naturally things start diminishing. So people forget, man, he didn't garner a first-round pick. They got a second. They got a second-rounder for him when they traded him. They didn't get a first-round pick for him. So anyway, I'm looking forward to Sunday. It's going to be great to see how the reaction, and I think it'll be just like they reacted to Cam Ward, because they treated Cam Ward like dirt too. The fans did. And that was very unfortunate to me. Maybe it wasn't across the board, but there was a lot of Cam Ward shade. All right, we'll come back. We've got one-timers. Then at the top of the hour, Bryce Young, in his own words, and the NFL coaching carousel. All coming up.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's that time of year when we gear up to cheer on our favorite team. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on the team you love the most by getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They are safe and effective. Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains spreading this fall and winter. So make sure you don't miss the big game and you protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people aged 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Final deadline to enroll is January 15th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Dr. Miller, a dentist and a volunteer for Dental Lifeline Network. I learned about DLN shortly after graduating dental school. I wanted to help people who are not able to access the oral health care they need. As a new dentist, I wondered, do I have the skills to provide the care they need? And do I have the time when trying to build a new practice? Even now, after 10 years, I can tell other dentists, yes, you can, and this is a no-brainer. Dental Lifeline Network is a nonprofit that has helped me literally change the lives of people in my community through the Donated Dental Services Program. DLN asks dentists to volunteer to see just one of the many patients in need each year. If you're a dentist or know a dentist, please share this important information. It's easy. DLN screens those in need and coordinates the initial appointment. Patients are treated right in your office on your schedule. If you're like me and want to make a real difference in someone's life, DLN makes it possible.
Go to willyouseeone.org to learn more. That's willyouseeone.org.
Operation Homefront, it opened up so many possibilities. It took us from a hopeless situation. Now we're homeowners. We have a savings account. It's completely changed the way our life is. Our household is so much happier.
Visit operationhomefront.org to learn more.
This is Adam Gold.
What, a minute 53 into the game? Heat of the moment?
Right.
What kind of heat of the moment is that? We haven't even gotten to simmer yet.
I know. Did someone flip him off in the parking lot? Like, what are we doing?
Seriously.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, Victoria on the ones and twos. Let me take this time, even though I know she is not listening, unless she happens to be in the car, to wish my absolutely gorgeous, lovely, perfect wife a happy 28th birthday.
Nice. Happy 28th. Love it.
So, yes, happy birthday to my wife today.
I hope she has an awesome one. I guess I'm not going to ask you if you have anything planned because I don't want to ruin
Tonight,
any surprises.
I have a hockey game. There's nothing planned today.
Yeah, here's
Right.
a Canes win, honey.
Hopefully we get a Canes win. Yeah, we got, yes. Saturday, however, we will relive the date where I realized.
Oh, fun.
Okay, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go to the same place that we were at that night.
Oh, fun.
So that's what we're doing Saturday.
Are you
Anyway,
going to order the same food, too? You
yes.
should, unless there's something better.
Well, actually, I don't know. I don't remember. It was a sushi place.
Oh,
so
okay.
yes, we went to. I'll give it a plug. Waraji in Raleigh, over by Durley and Glenwood. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
hopefully the weather holds out because, I don't know, Mother Nature doesn't know whether she wants to, have wintry mixes or not.
Looks like Friday night into Saturday,
Yeah.
we're going to get some stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. She's messing me up.
Yeah.
You're just trying to screw with me. All right, one-timers.
I will keep my fingers crossed.
Thank
I do
you.
want to see some snow, but sometimes it's the worst timing. And it's just a tease because it was all around my neighborhoods, but not actually in my neighborhood last night. But anyway, another thing that might be a tease, Paul Feinbaum says that he favors Notre Dame over Ohio State in the semifinals. So do you agree or
You mean
disagree?
over Penn? Notre Dame plays Penn State. Ohio State and Texas play.
Yes, I'm sure that's probably what that is. I was reading this article, and it said Ohio State, but
Did it? Maybe he favors Notre Dame to beat
Overall,
Ohio State. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think, and I'm guilty of this as well, Notre Dame going into this season, or no, rather, if you look at their entire resume, they have one win that would be considered good. They have a road win at Texas A&M. The rest of their season, they were, it's not for lack of trying, just most of the teams they played ended up being trash. And they lost to Northern Illinois on their own field. So, and by the way, they lost to Northern Illinois, I think the week after they beat Texas A&M. Might have been 2 weeks after, because they beat Texas A&M on the road. So, I think a lot of people, and myself included, have been guilty of dismissing Notre Dame. Well, they haven't played anybody. They're good on both lines. I don't think Riley Leonard is an elite quarterback, but he's certainly a good one. But they can run the ball. He's a really good football player. They can play defense. Would I be shocked if Notre Dame won the national championship? No. Would I be shocked if they beat Penn State? No. I think it's a pretty evenly matched game, though, on those two. Ohio State right now is playing the best of anybody in the country, which is what I think people thought would happen at the beginning of the year.
Well, so also going with football, but professional football. How detrimental do you think it might be for the Eagles if Jalen Hurts stays hurt? Because, he has that injury, so we don't know yet for sure if he's going to come back or play the whole game. So how detrimental could that be for the Eagles playing the Packers at home this Sunday?
I kind of like the Packers either way.
Yeah.
So, So you're asking me who's going to pick the Packers to win that game regardless, which it probably means that the Eagles will win. I think they need Jalen Hurts. I don't think they're winning a game without Jalen Hurts. He's too important to the overall makeup of that offense to not have on the field. So, yeah, I think it's, On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 9.
Yeah, that would be a struggle. Well, also a struggle. The Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys have been struggling for a minute here. So would you say that those struggles are more on McCarthy or Jerry Jones?
Well, here's the answer is yes. And here's why I say, because it's both. Mike McCarthy, I know he's got a Super Bowl. He's a good head coach. There's nothing special about him. He's okay. He's the offensive version of Ron Rivera, right? He's a good coach, but he's not great. And if you can get great, and the Dallas Cowboys should strive to get great, they should do that. But Jerry Jones doesn't want to admit that he's not great, just like he didn't want to admit that Jason Garrett wasn't. Actually, Jason Garrett wasn't really that good. So it's really both. They could do better than Mike McCarthy, and Jerry Jones needs to realize that.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary, and I understand we got playoffs coming up in football. You might want to be thinking about point spreads and whatnot. I'm going to tell you the number one seed in mortgage lending is Miller Lending. Why? Because Gordon came in several years ago and invented the no closing cost mortgage. That's right. He bit the kneecaps off of mortgage lenders by saying, you don't have to pay closing costs. You can save thousands of dollars of your own money and refinance free of charge when the rates come down. Total game changer. And now, this is what I've done 11 times. Miller Lending have never paid a dime in closing costs. 11! Never a dime in closing costs. How much money have I saved? About 50 grand. You can do the same thing. Well, you got to do it 11 times to save about 50 grand, but you understand the point, right? Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost loan. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary. An equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
It's 2025 and everybody's looking for a fresh start with their resolutions. Every team, player, coach, they've got something on a wish list. The Canes, I think they could use a little bit more toughness. The Panthers, clarity on Bryce Young. Is he the guy? Is he not? And every college basketball team wants to be hitting their stride as they hit the ACC schedule.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
New year, new career. Discover a new role with the Wake County Public School System. We're hiring bus drivers and special education instructional assistants. When you join us, you'll enjoy an inspiring and rewarding role, providing safe school travel and personalized educational support to amazing students. We have new starting wages, competitive benefits, many ways to grow, and more. Lend your crucial skills to the next generation at Wake County Public School System. Apply now at careers.wcpss.net.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Learn more at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. 2025 needs to start clean. Get all that dirt from 2024 out of your carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your house. Because in 2025, we're starting Zero Resified. Biggest sale of the year. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned, starting at just $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning while you're at it. Offer is open through January 31st, so visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
The problem is that, I would make the argument that all of North Carolina's best players are 6'4" and shorter. And that really is the crux of the matter. And the big thing is a fatal flaw. It inherently caps North Carolina's ceiling. Like, this is not going to be a national championship team because it does not have the size, the rebounding, the rim protection, et cetera, in the inside, clearly. Certainly, this is a team that just has an inherent cap on what it can become because of the way the roster was built.
We will get to the Tar Heels coming up in about 20 minutes. Wes Durham is going to join us. That was Brendan Marks, who, as it was pointed out by our fearless leader from the corner office, I did not play up the fact that he was the first guest of 2025. My mistake. But I love having Brendan on.
Yeah.
Brendan is great.
And he knew. He was very excited for being the first one. When I called him, I said, by the way, you're our first guest.
Oh, was he excited about it?
He was, yeah. So there you go.
I never know how much of an annoyance it is to come on this show.
No. It's fun times here.
Is it? I have a good time. That's the whole point.
That's what we try to bring, the good times.
Yeah. So people have asked me about certain elements of the show. It's like, I get to a point where all I'm trying to do is enjoy myself.
Right. Yeah, just hanging out.
And if you happen to like it, great.
Perfect. Yep.
I hope that we understand what you want, but honestly, it's really what I want.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about Bryce Young here and a little bit about the coaching carousel as well. So here we go. This is our second take of the news of the day, even though we haven't talked a ton about this. And we will talk a lot about Bryce with Steve Logan coming up in a little bit more than an hour. Steve Logan, former East Carolina head coach and a quarterback guru. He will join us at 2:15 today. So yesterday, Bryce Young got a chance to give his thoughts on the season, his progress, all of that. And what he talked about first here was really looking forward and taking the next step.
We're all eager to get to that point. I think we all feel like there's so much to get better at and so much to improve on, but we believe in each other. We know what we're capable of. Again, we've had so many moments where, we've looked around and, Coach Canales talks about it all the time of just trying to find moments that's us and find our ball. And I think we've found it at times. And now we just being able to have that, now we have to do the work to make sure we can make that our standard, make sure we're consistent in that. And, we're excited for that challenge. It's going to take work. It's going to, there's going to be adversity. It's going to be, there's steps that need to be taken. And I'm super grateful just to be a part of the team that acknowledges that and wants to do that work, wants to make the step and has that competitiveness about that.
All right. So how do we build off this season?
Just being able to build, us having this foundation, obviously, compared to last year, when you're going in and knowing you're restarting and things are different, it's a different approach, and this year knowing, who's, what you're working towards, I have a lot better idea what you have, you never know, obviously, what the offseason holds and all that, but the foundation is there. So being able to carry that out is huge, and just being able to continue to build us as a team, having flashes, knowing what we're capable of, and now just the focus instead of finding it, being on, making it consistent, making it the standard. I think it's a lot better place to be.
One of the things we played some of the Miles Sanders interview, post-game interview yesterday, and you could tell that Sanders empathized a lot with the struggles that Bryce Young had earlier in the season, because he referenced it. He said, I went through some tough times, and and he and Bryce shared some difficult times together. And you could tell that he was genuinely happy. They asked him one of the questions. I think it was 2 local TV reporters in Charlotte. One of the questions that was asked was because he scored 2 touchdowns, Sanders. He had a rushing touchdown. That was the game winner. And he had a receiving touchdown. They asked him which touchdown was his favorite. And you would have thought the game-winning touchdown might have been his favorite. But he went, nope, it was the receiving touchdown. And it was because of the connection that he has with Bryce.
Yeah.
Right?
It's good to see.
Oh, it's tremendous. First of all, look, I know Miles wants to be here next year.
He does.
Yeah, I'm not. It's probably not going to happen unless there's a massive contract restructuring. And I'm not against that, by the way. But if he wants to do that and take a pay cut to stay, unfortunately, that's the way it would work in the National Football League. But one of the things that it spoke to was the amount of respect that teammates have for Bryce Young, and Bryce talked about his relationship with them.
That means a lot. Again, this is a team sport. We all play for each other, and it's the same way for me. Just being able to go in and build as we are with the foundation of guys we have here with this team. I've been so grateful to be a part of this team, I'm the same way. I have all the confidence in the world in them, all the trust in them, and just knowing that we're in this together. We all are able to trust each other, lean on each other, and play for each other. It's a great thing about being here.
So this is why I really think that, and this is no shade on Dave Canales, because I was on with the guys in Charlotte today, and they still don't. And apparently, there's a lot of listeners in Charlotte, and this show airs in the evening in Charlotte, and there's a lot of people that don't appreciate or understand my opinion of Canales. I'm not necessarily out on him as a head coach at this point. Now, 3 months ago, I was certainly not a fan. And it was mostly based on the way he handled Bryce early. And again, I don't believe for a second that we would have been at this point if there was not an Andy Dalton car accident. I mean, that's how Bryce got the job. I got the job back, but that's how he got playing again. Was Andy Dalton was in a car accident. And there were other things about it, but I give Bryce Young 95% of the credit for the way he played at the end of the season. And that isn't necessarily a knock on Dave Canales. I think Canales also improved over the course of the season. I do, and I think you could see that in how he was designing the offense based on Young's progression as a player, which I kind of think would have been there had they designed a lot of these things at the beginning. Bryce Young was put in the worst possible position a year ago, and I'm not entirely sure that fans, or at times even the media, really accepted just how bad his situation was. He had, to start with, a very mediocre offensive line, and then injuries ravaged the middle of it. How many times has Darren Gant said they played with, he joked, he set it up with 150 million different combinations in the middle, and then they went and spent $150 million on Hunt and Lewis to solidify the middle of the line. As it turns out, the line was pretty good this year. So he has a bad offensive line, and without question, the worst collection of skill position players in the entire NFL last year. There were no targets. He had Adam Thielen, and that was it. Now, Thielen is wonderful, but that can't be it, because you had nobody to get down the field. Everybody else was super disappointing. This year, it got better. Thielen missed a good chunk of it too, by the way, but Jatavian Sanders, the tight end, looks like he's a player for the future. Had some injury issues in the latter half of the year, but he looks like a player. Whether it's Jalen Coker or David Moore as a complementary piece, maybe Xavier Legette will become, I don't think he's a 1, but I think he could be a good 2. I think you still need a 1. You still need the further development of Sanders at tight end. But now you're seeing that there are better targets for him. Last year, gosh, that was bad. Bad offensive line, no targets, and a complete mess of a coaching staff. Well, of course it should look better. It was alarming how bad it looked through 2 weeks. But I give Bryce the credit because Bryce never allowed last year and the start of this year to get to him. That shows mental toughness that you cannot measure. And the future's bright for him. There's, now you need to make what happened on Sunday with the win over Atlanta. That needs to be maybe not the norm because that was one of those exceptional games. But you need to be, you can't be far off of that on a regular basis if you want to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. And when you're picked first overall, yeah, I think your baseline is, good NFL quarterback. Good. Like, I can win with you. Good. What we saw on Sunday was that. So now let's build off of that. That's what they need. All right, quickly to some coaching carousel stuff. Wes Durham's going to join us in about 10 minutes. So Adam Schefter broke this news yesterday in that there are teams around the league that are interested in Mike Tomlin of the Steelers to the point where would the Steelers be interested in a trade?
What I said was there are teams wondering if they should inquire about Mike Tomlin. And one did inquire and found out that he has a no-trade clause in his contract. It means that he'd have to sign off on any trade. And again, to be very clear, Pittsburgh is not looking to trade Mike Tomlin. I don't believe that Mike Tomlin is looking to be traded. They're going to play in the playoffs this weekend. We'll see what happens. Maybe the Steelers advance. Maybe they don't. And I would fully expect Mike Tomlin's back in Pittsburgh. That's what I fully expect. But I also know that there are other teams that thought the same. Well, maybe we should check in with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And if Pittsburgh has a weak moment, if they don't beat the Ravens, and I don't expect them to beat the Ravens, if the Steelers don't beat the Ravens, and Tomlin, I think this would be 8 straight years without a playoff win. I don't know. Maybe the Steelers have one of those, we'll call it a senior moment, and forget just how freaking great he is as a head coach. And they're willing to move on. If that's the case, somebody's going to take advantage. All right, more from Adam Schefter on the Bears trying to interview Mike McCarthy.
Well, the Chicago Bears are still waiting to hear from the Dallas Cowboys about whether or not they'll grant permission to the Bears to talk to Mike McCarthy, who has a lifetime 19-7 coaching record against the Bears. And I think the Cowboys' response will be interesting. I know that Jerry Jones said after the Cowboy season ended that Mike McCarthy's free to talk to who he wants, and that technically may be true next week once that exclusive negotiating period opens. But I think the Cowboys' response here and now should be indicative of where they are as an organization. If you're going to let a guy that you intend to keep get out the door to talk to somebody else, maybe that means you're not as serious about keeping him. And if you deny him the permission, maybe that means you are a little bit more serious about keeping him. So potentially the Cowboys' answer could provide some window into what Dallas is thinking about whether or not Mike McCarthy returns to Dallas next season.
I hate to go, duh, but duh. Yeah, if Dallas lets McCarthy talk to the Bears, they're going to move on. And if they don't, he'll be their head coach. to your question, Victoria, in one-timers, if I am the Cowboys, I am letting Mike McCarthy go coach the Chicago Bears or the New Orleans Saints or the New York Jets. That would be interesting. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be in New York next year? Could Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy team up again?
Yeah.
I mean, it very well could.
I mean, he liked to bring all of his guys that he threw to. Why not bring the old coach?
Yeah, most of those guys are old and broken at this point. Devontae Adams can still play, so that's good. But is that something that might happen, right? But the bottom line is, I've always viewed McCarthy as, he's good. He's not great. I've termed him the offensive version of Ron Rivera. I think Ron Rivera is a great defensive coach. Well, great. Very good defensive coach. And a great, just incredible leader of men. I love Ron Rivera as a person. I don't know Mike McCarthy as a person, okay? I'm not saying he's bad or whatnot. I don't put him in Ron Rivera's category as a leader of men. But he was just an okay coach overall, okay head coach. It's not a bad one. It's good. Those coaches have shelf lives. They can only last for so long. I think Mike McCarthy has reached that point with Dallas. I think Jerry Jones needs to go out and find a better head coach. And you can find a better head coach than Mike McCarthy. But McCarthy might be exactly what the Bears need. I don't know. And I would, if they're interested, if they want to talk to him, then I think they'd probably be interested in hiring him. Now, what about one of Mike McCarthy's players? Now, this is the other side of the ball. Micah Parsons, edge rusher, linebacker, whatever, defensive machine, on his head coach and the team.
For what he's had, he's definitely made an impact. And it's definitely challenging because, anytime you lose your starting quarterback, a Pro Bowl or All-Pro player, it's the most challenging part. But for what he's done, putting 20 points on the board, so we got to be better, you got to play better defense. That's where I take accountability at. I appreciate Mike and for everything he's done for me and the program, if this was our last ride, because he's always been a great man, a great father, a great testament of faith since he's been here. So I appreciate him.
Now, that was far more of a ringing endorsement from Micah Parsons, well, without saying, I want him to be back, than Jadeveon Clowney's was about Ejiro Evero. Now, Clowney might have just been staying out of it because he wanted to stay out of it. I think Clowney wants to be here next year, and I don't think it matters to him if it's Evero or somebody else. I think if it is Evero, and it is going to be Evero because Dave Canales said it was going to be Evero, had Clowney known that, he might have been a lot more effusive in praise. I don't dislike at all. I don't dislike Carolina's defensive coordinator. I don't. I think Evero, if he's got pieces, and they didn't have pieces. You lost your best one in Derek Brown. J.C. Horn did play a full season, but the rest of your defensive backfield ain't great. And your linebackers were, couldn't find an edge rusher for the first part of the season. They had a lot of injuries there. Clowney isn't capable of being a 50-snap defensive player, a game now anyway. It became more difficult to even put a credible defense on the field. But I like Evero, and I think he'll be good. All right, when we come back, the voice of the Atlantic Coast Conference, Wes Durham, who's going to have the Tar Heels and SMU tonight. We will talk about that, the state of the ACC, and more with Wes Durham next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Tonight's forecast calls for Hurricanes hockey.
Natchez heads up. Back to Orlov. He scores! A 1-2 punch from Dmitry Orlov. It's 3-2 on Orlov, second of the game.
Storm Watch with Adam Gold at 6:30. Puck drop at 7.
Back to Slavin. He shot right on. Rebounds out in front. Chance up front. They score! Here come the Hats!
On your exclusive exclusive home for the Carolina Hurricanes. 99.9 The Fan.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
What's this?
We're expanding the North Carolina Education Lottery Winners Club.
That's a pretty big wrecking ball.
Well, with all these new scratch-offs, this place is going to be packed with new winners. Okay, let's go ahead and knock this wall down. This is where we're putting the polo field. Whoa, patience, Trixie.
This month's tickets are loaded with $150 million in total prizes. The Winners Club awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.55. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Every season can be punishing for your roof. Mother Nature is a fierce opponent that doesn't take a break, which is why you need RoofWorks on your building maintenance team. Hi, this is Holly from RoofWorks. We specialize in keeping your commercial roof in great condition no matter what the issue may be. We offer roof inspections, roof repairs, and if needed, a full roof replacement. We help determine if there's a problem with your roof and advise you on the most cost-effective way to handle it. Contact us today at roofworks.com. That's roof, WERKS.com.
HIV is not a crime, or it shouldn't be.
We are well past the days of concern over a hug, a scraped knee, or a sneeze.
Thanks to scientific advancements, stigma prevention work, and activists like Elizabeth Taylor,
People living with HIV can do and live fully healthy lives
without risk or fear of transmitting the virus to others.
But a different fear remains.
The fear of prosecution simply for living with HIV.
In 30 states, Americans are being imprisoned due to their HIV status.
Even when there is zero risk of transmission.
And when HIV is undetectable, it's untransmissible.
It's time for the laws to catch up to science.
HIV is not a death sentence nor a deadly weapon.
And it shouldn't be a crime either.
Join the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation in the fight to modernize outdated HIV criminalization laws. Go to etaf.org. HIV is not a crime. Campaign funded through the support of Gilead Sciences Incorporated.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is Adam Gold.
What, a minute 53 into the game? Heat of the moment?
Right.
What kind of heat of the moment is that? We haven't even gotten to simmer yet.
I know. Did someone flip him off in the parking lot? Like, what are we...
Seriously.
The Adam Gold Show.
The voice of the ACC, the reason the conference turns a profit. We need more of that. We need more of you. You've got a good game tonight. SMU paying a visit to Chapel Hill. I watched North Carolina's win over Notre Dame. It was kind of a mixed bag for me, but I loved the end, and I got into maybe the psychology of it, and we'll talk about it in a second. And I saw Duke's game at SMU. I think SMU's got a little something. They certainly have some athletes. So as you go into this game tonight, just give me your thoughts about SMU at North Carolina.
Well, how about a history?
Sure.
Want a little history first?
Tonight's
history. Tonight's just the fourth meeting between SMU and Carolina. Last time was December 1987.
John Koncak was on that team?
No, but good guess. John Koncak was he played in the very first meeting between Carolina and SMU, which was actually a Sunday at the Greensboro Coliseum in January of 1985. SMU won the game. They were fourth in the country. Carolina was fifth, by the way. SMU was John Koncak had 31 points in the very first meeting between SMU and Carolina.
Hell of a player.
All right. So here's what I'm asking you. The last time they played, Carolina won 90-74 in the Smith Center.
Right.
Who do you think led Carolina in scoring on December 12th, 1987?
Kenny Smith.
No. Kenny Smith, not available. No, Kenny Smith, not available.
87.
It would have been the 87-88 season, my senior year in college, in case you need to know.
J.R. Reed.
That is correct. 21 points. Congratulations, Adam Gold.
My second. I'm a silver medalist. I got it on the second try.
That's a good guess.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
By the way, that SMU team won the Southwest Conference that year for Dave Bliss, who went on to more other infamous things as a basketball coach.
Just now remembering that it was Dave Bliss. I remember a time where SMU was an elite athletic program. Love to see him get back to it.
Yeah. And they're back. Yeah.
No question about that. Okay.
Okay, here's what tonight is. Tonight, SMU has gone through rookie orientation because, you're off to this great start and you're a first-year basketball member and you think you're really good, and then all of a sudden Duke shows up and you didn't realize there were as many Duke fans in Dallas as you saw Saturday in your own building. You didn't realize that Micah Parsons was represented by a former Duke basketball player, and the next thing you know, you've got celebrities in your own building who aren't pulling for you. That's what SMU went through Saturday. And the reason I can say that is because I saw it in Atlanta for about 18 years.
Yeah.
Okay? All that being said, I think SMU's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Duke was as good defensively. I thought they were really locked in Saturday, and that created a lot of problems for SMU. I think tonight is as much about SMU recovery from that, Adam, as it is about Carolina and where Carolina's going, especially if Seth Trimble's on the floor for them.
All right, so Wes Durham is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Here's the thing about the Tar Heels, and I don't believe that they will be able to overcome their roster for the entirety of the season. It doesn't mean they can't make the NCAA tournament. They've got two very good wins, two wins that will be quad ones at the end of the season. I'm convinced of it. And you've got the UCLA win and the Dayton win. They need to pick off some good conference wins that will give them a couple of other quad ones. They get Pitt twice, they get Clemson, they get Duke twice. So they have some chances to get. They had a quad one opportunity at Louisville that they didn't get. They're going to need to get probably 2 or 3 of those other games to put in that Q1 column. But their problem up front, I don't believe they can overcome. But they have so many good players in the backcourt and on the wings. And with college basketball being a guard game first and foremost, I think it gives them a chance most nights. And the psychology of Elliot Cadeau, who has really struggled over the first couple of months of this season, the psychology of that being the reason they won the game ultimately, who knows what it does for him and them kind of, in tandem.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I kind of dug in a little bit on the stats of this Carolina team, probably more than I should have a little bit, but I think you have to find kind of if you're looking at Carolina, you've got to start statistically because that program is so based and entrenched in statistical analysis, right? I mean, you know that. Their rebound, for instance, Carolina's rebound margin is almost 0. It's never been the case at Carolina, right? So what I did was I went back and looked at Armando Bacot's points and rebounds from a year ago, just in overall play. Okay, Bacot averaged 13 points and almost 11 rebounds last year. 10.7 rebounds, 13.2 points. The combination, Bacot averaged 14.5 points, 10.3 rebounds. The combination of Jalen Washington, Will Allen Lubin, and Ty Claude right now are averaging 13.2 points, and 10.7 rebounds. So you're replacing one guy with three, essentially. Carolina's got to find the mixture, and this is the Hubert Davis, Sean May challenge. Can you find the right mix? Like, for instance, Claude did not play Saturday at South Bend. Why didn't he play? Because Jalen Washington played well Saturday at Notre Dame. So do you find the mixture? And by the mixture, I mean the minutes. Washington here, Vinal Lubin there. How many fouls? Where's Ty Claude fit? Do you throw James Brown in for a sequence or two down the floor? That's how you compensate as best you can, given your current deck of cards, and there's not a waiver wire available in college basketball.
Not yet. We'll probably have one soon.
And I'll add this to your point, though. I think Seth Trimble coming back, he's their best on-ball defender. That's big. Ian Jackson and Drake Powell can change Carolina's life. Jackson already has. I think Powell is capable. And they can also do the one thing that I think is going to be critical in the next 30 days. Take pressure off R.J. Davis so he is not completely exhausted by the time they get to mid-February.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's what the best version of Elliot Cadeau is. The best thing that he can do is be solid and confident, and I think he's been kind of in his own head because it hasn't gone well, and he scored 6 of his 10 points in the last 30 seconds in South Bend, and maybe that can take some pressure off of RJ as well. Their best 5 players are all in the perimeter. I love Powell. I mean, Jackson has been amazing. And
he's going to be amazing.
Oh,
he's amazing,
tremendous player. And then if Trimble comes back and you've got these 5 guys, you probably, Hubert probably needs to play 4 of them all the time and then rotate a big in there. But it still gets me back to this with North Carolina. They have but so it's been such a big part of their offense over the last billion years. Rebounding, defensive rebounding, and offensive rebounding, and they're just not a great rebounding team, and I don't know how they overcome that.
I don't know that they do, but you have to give yourself, and again, I go back to the statistical nature of the entire program.
Right.
You now have to take all those stats and say, okay, how can we be a competitive program night in, night out? And I think that for this particular Carolina team, the first 13, 14 ball games have been this great kind of chemistry project.
Yeah.
And now getting Seth Trimble back, actually statistically, I think helps them, but it helps on the defensive end. There's no question he might be their best athlete. You know that. I mean, Trimble is phenomenal.
Yeah, I love him.
But I think Seth Trimble, Elliot Cadeau, Ian Jackson, Drake Powell, R.J. Davis are the 5 guys that are ultimately going to determine what this Carolina team is.
All right, let's talk about it, because I think they can compile a lot of wins in the league, and I know you've watched them. You've watched the league. You've seen the number. You know what the numbers are. You know what the net ratings say, and all the Ken Palms and the Bart Torviks of the world, which I pay attention to as well. Not a lot. There's Duke. I think there's a gap, and we're going to see Duke and Pitt tonight, which is a
great game.
It's
a great game.
It might. I mean, honestly, they might be the 2 best teams in the league if it's not.
They
Duke
might be
if it's not Duke and Clemson. But I think there's Duke. I think there's a gap to the next 2, and then I think it's Carolina and maybe Louisville. Although we are getting some guys back, Burton makes Notre Dame better. I mean, the league is just what it is. How do you guys talk about it tonight and over the next 2 months?
Well, I think you have to. I think you're on the right path, and it's ironic. Dan Bonner's doing the game with me tonight, and he'll be with me. The tall Virginian, yes, he is. He's going to be with me tonight. He'll be with me Saturday in Raleigh for State Carolina, and then back here in Chapel Hill next Wednesday night for Cal and Carolina. Long-awaited return of the Cal Carolina series, Adam. Much like the long-awaited return of the Cal Clemson series, which Dan and I had on Saturday night at Little John. Okay, let's take the net and go this route. Let's go Duke, who I think at last report was 4 or 5 in the net.
Yeah.
I think Pitt is 13 or 14, and then Clemson is third, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, like 30th or something in that range.
That's right. And then it drops down to like Carolina, SMU, Louisville, if I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the next three. So let's take those six for our argument here, or our discussion here, and say that those six are the best six eligible teams to make the NCAA tournament right now. Okay? So those are the six teams that you have to kind of draw a circle around. And then the next 4 or 5, my question is this about the league. Which of those next 4 or 5 teams, and I'm not going past really 11 in this whole experiment. And I'm sorry for 12 through 18, but it's been nice. We're going to watch your season play out. I hope you have some nice wins, but I think those next group of teams are just going to kind of beat each other around. And those are the ones I think that are like 75 or 85 to 100 and something, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Okay? All right. So take those first 6 teams, and those first 6 teams against those next 5 or so are going to have to be the way the ACC determines itself. And here's what you have to avoid. Remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago when like Clemson was thought to be going to the NCAA tournament and didn't go because they lost to Louisville?
Yeah.
Okay. The middle 6 and the front 5 cannot, or the front 6 and the next 5 cannot lose to the bottom of the league.
Never.
Now the bottom of the league can beat itself up, but that next group, that second layer and the first layer, you can take losses if it's to the second group if you're in the first group, but you can't take a first group team, that 5 or 6 cannot lose to the bottom 7, in other words.
No. We have 4 teams in the league that are worse than 150 in the net.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah,
and here's the thing. And everybody's going to get twisted around a little bit because we're going to hear all winter long about how great the SEC is. And the Southeastern Conference is having a really good year. I'll be the first to tell you that I think they've done the right thing in terms of investing long before the landscape changed. And you know this because you follow the game. The SEC was trying to figure out a strategy to get their basketball product better. You remember that.
Yeah.
Remember they had Mike Tranghese come in for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Whitworth many years ago was brought over to the basketball side, things of that nature. They hired a supervisor of officials who was an ACC basketball official on the floor named Mike Eads. He runs their officiating. They've been trying to do this, folks, for a long time.
Yep.
And now we introduce the financials into the plan. And guess what they did? They went out and challenged college basketball on the financial end with players. And guess what? It's worked. They are, as I like to say, they are fully invested in the product that's on the floor. And I'm not saying the ACC isn't. I'm just telling you the SEC came up with a plan a couple of years ago in terms of trying to get their product better, and then things fell their way from a financial standpoint, and they put money in it. And the literal money is running up and down the floor. So good for them.
And the other element, too, to the SEC's emergence, I guess, as a basketball power, is that they hired coaches that, to be perfectly honest, I don't think would have been hireable in the ACC. I don't think anybody in the ACC would have hired Bruce Pearl. Right? And he's a great basketball coach. And he's a great recruiter. And he has done Auburn's a dynamite program. Now, Rick Barnes would have been hireable in the ACC, but because we've had no issues at all with him in terms of NCAA issues. He was in the ACC, of course, at Clemson, and he's doing a great job at Tennessee. I don't know if Nate Oates is an ACC type of a basketball. They've got great coaches that might not have been good fits in this league, but when it comes to just going out and winning basketball games, they're elite.
I think you'd have to probably you would know people more along this line than I do because I simply don't follow recruiting, as you know. I mean, I got other things
My
going
kid
on.
does.
Yeah.
My kid has seen all of the kids coming up out of, he watches all of them on YouTube.
Okay. So here's where I'm going with this. I think college basketball now, because of the NIL, because of the portal, because of coaching changes, because of all the things we've seen happen in the last 5 years, is eerily similar to what I don't know, that AAU basketball might be. guys changing teams, coaches moving, things of that nature. Certain levels of AAU are different than the others. Summer league, whatever you want to call it, the EYBL stuff, things like that. I may be wrong, but it just feels to me it's more of an open marketplace now. And in basketball, as you know, Adam, we talk about this, but we really don't understand kind of what we're saying. It doesn't take that many players to change your life in college basketball.
No, maybe one.
You get one for sure, but you get three or four really good players, you can get your life changed pretty quick in basketball. And I think that's also a part of the climate change we're going through at the biggest level of the game collegiately for sure.
That's Wes Durham. He is the voice of the Atlantic Coast Conference. He's got the second game tonight on the ACC Network, SMU at North Carolina, with the tall Virginian Dan Bonner. You and I will talk again whenever, and we'll spend a little time talking about the Blue Devils, who, to me, look a little bit. They could be a little bit like Danny and the Miracles, right? I think the Miracles in this case are probably better than the Scooter Barry and company supporting cast for Danny Manning. I'm not saying Cooper Flagg is as good as Danny Manning, by the way, so people can chill out for a second. But this Blue Devils team is really intriguing on a national level beyond Cooper Flagg, but we'll have to leave that for another time.
I would agree with you on all of that.
Yeah,
all of that.
They're good. They're legit,
good.
and they're the best thing they do is defend, which I think might be that's what's going to carry them. Wes, I appreciate your time. We'll in between media timeouts at the Canes and Tampa tonight, they're playing in Florida. I will peek in on the Ponies and the Tar Heels.
I'll sneak into the press room over at Lenovo Center tomorrow night for Notre Dame NC State just to kind of wave.
Okay, thanks, man. The best. He is the absolute best. That's Wes Durham, the voice of the Atlantic Coast Conference on ESPN.
Yeah, and he's from my neck of the woods too. 336. His dad used to work the news out there in Greensboro.
Yes, he is he's an Apex fighting cougar.
Well, there you go.
He's a graduate of Apex High. I almost screwed that up.
Peak of good living.
Yes, I almost screwed that up, right? I almost said he was from Cary, but he's not.
Oh, okay.
I think he's an Apex guy.
It's very different.
Hope I got
guess.
that right.
I don't know.
Hope I get that right. So I know it's like a blood rivalry between Cary and Apex. All right, so I thank Wes. Steve Logan's about a half hour away, and we'll talk about the development of Bryce Young and the dynamic between NC State and East Carolina as it was portrayed by Dave Doran, which I think was a mistake. I also think that it is interesting to me, and I didn't see all of what Bill Belichick had to say. I only kind of heard about it. He was on with McAfee yesterday, and Belichick is kind of leaning into the beat Duke thing. Somebody needs to break it to Bill. Hey, look, I'm not saying you don't want to beat Duke. You do, as Carolina's head coach. You want to beat Duke. I think, though, you really want to beat State.
Right? That's probably where you
given
should be
the
aiming.
two, given the two, probably want to beat the Wolfpack.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, cute and all, but I think State Carolina in football, to me, like this weekend is State and Carolina in basketball. It's an enormous game. And you will talk to some old heads, and they'll tell you that there was a time where State Carolina was the better basketball game, the bigger basketball rivalry game for them. But it's the secondary rivalry for UNC now. And in football, the Duke game is the secondary rivalry for UNC. You better go about winning games against State. All right, we will stretch and place bets, and I will try to do better than my 0-3 from yesterday. bath was taken. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Oh, football fans, time to buckle up because for the first time ever, 5 straight days of playoff football in college and pro, FanDuel celebrating with the great playoff payoff. I love that. Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and that is a no-sweat same-game parlay every day for all 5 days. With a no-sweat same-game parlay, you can combine your bets from the same game for a chance at even bigger winnings. If it doesn't hit, you'll get your bonus bets back. FanDuel.com/AGS. Be a part of it. FanDuel.com/AGS and have fun. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Final deadline to enroll is January 15th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
Dan on Twitter, who you got? Robert Plant or Elvis Presley? That is actually very difficult because I don't want to disrespect Elvis Presley. I think it's Elvis. It's very, very close. And that is an incredible question.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Canes in Tampa tonight. So if you are listening in Raleigh, and hoping that many of you are, the Storm Watch begins at 6:30. We're trying to put together as many conversations about Eric Staal as possible. And some of the conversations I have already had are just awesome. I'm going to try if we can carve out a little time today to play some of Chad LaRose on Eric Staal. It's just amazing. And so many guys are coming back. It's the greatest alumni game we've ever seen coming up on Sunday. Now, most of these, I joked about it with Rod Brind'Amour, most of these guys are well beyond their playing size. I don't know. LaRose hasn't played in 10 years. I'm sure he's still in good shape. I know he does a lot of work with youth hockey, so I'm sure Chad is comfortable being on the ice. Justin Williams is going to play. Yeah, sure, he's comfortable being on the ice. I've seen Cam Ward on the ice a lot, and he's not in playing shape. He's also not going to play goal. Cam's going to play, as they say, out. He is much more of a regular player now. But, man, there are a lot of guys who, I hope nobody gets hurt. Eric should be in good shape. Played 2 years ago.
Right. Maybe still fresh.
Remember, he didn't retire until this summer.
Yeah.
He was kind of holding out hope he would still play last year.
So he stayed conditioned.
So, yeah. He is not playing. Anyway, he's playing in this alumni game. Should be amazing against NC State's club hockey team, which is pretty good. All right, let's stretch.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to bring up is Joe on our YouTube stream from earlier today.
Hey, Joe.
Was very into us talking about Bowman Gray Stadium because, which I'm very familiar with, also in the 336, it's in Winston-Salem, but the Clash NASCAR is actually going to be in Winston-Salem at Bowman Gray. Go Bowman Gray Stadium. They're going to host the NASCAR race for the first time in more than half a century, opening next season with an exhibition race. So look at little Bowman Gray out there in Winston.
Yeah, he just wanted to mention?
He just wanted us to talk about it. So I see you. I saw that, and I think it's super cool that they're going to be there. I will tell you, because I'm very familiar with Bowman Gray, the parking's going to be atrocious.
Is it?
So just get your mind right when you go there, because it's going to irritate you. But this may not irritate you. It might ruin your New Year's resolution, though, if you had one about being healthy, because Krispy Kreme is trying to team up with Pop-Tarts, not Dave Doran, but Pop-Tarts, because they have now 3 new Pop-Tart inspired donuts. 2 of them have the little teeny tiny Pop-Tarts that can get, like those little mini ones on them. And of course, they're going to use the best flavor. Well, 2 out of the 3 are my favorite, or ones I would go to, but the 3 donut flavors: frosted strawberry, which also has strawberry fillings, so that's going to get some people. Brown sugar cinnamon, also delicious. And then chocolate fudge. So it's covering all the bases. So you can get that at Krispy Kreme while the Hot Now sign's on, or not. Or you can also get a half dozen at the grocery store if you just want to ruin your New Year's resolution. Definitely not on the Mediterranean diet that I mentioned yesterday, but it's okay. However, maybe we can make some good choices with our bets.
Yeah.
Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
See, the Devils won late in Seattle, so I lost that. I had North Dakota State winning, but I also had it winning under 58.5. They went over. And I had Forest, both team to score, and Chris Wood, an anytime goal scorer, and that would be plus 640.
Yeah.
Wolves never scored, so I lost that. So I'm 0 for 3.
Yeah.
Bad start. I'm now keeping track.
Yeah. It's okay. We'll turn things around. That was Black Monday, so let's make it, Green Tuesday? I don't know.
Exactly.
But starting with all on ice for me, the Canes, they are going to be in Tampa taking on the Lightning. Boo. And we don't like to play them. But I think maybe today will be just an adventurous day, and I could see Martinook getting us a goal, hopefully.
Ooh,
I know.
That would be nice.
That would be super fun. So give me Jordan Martinook, anytime goal scorer, plus 550.
All right. I'm going to buy a win.
Yes.
Buying a win today for our Carolina Hurricanes. The Lightning are home underdogs.
Yeah.
Carolina favored on the road at Tampa.
I know.
That is cuckoo. The Tampa's only plus 105, but we'll take it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I will sacrifice American money.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do for the
Yeah.
Canes. My next one, Edmonton Oilers are going to be in Boston taking on the Bruins. We also aren't a fan of them here. And so I'm going to take, I love Zach Hyman. You remember this from last season. Give me him to be an anytime goal scorer. He's plus 200.
All right, we're going back to the NHL. Well, the Rangers are home underdogs to Dallas tonight. I know the Rangers have been trash.
Yeah, it's still weird.
I think the Rangers win the game, plus 140.
Oh, nice. Well, that was my last one. Give me Panarin, anytime goal scorer, plus 180.
All right, we have EFL Cup action, Arsenal at home to Newcastle. That's going to be a draw, plus 250. There you go. Wall of Sound is next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And don't make the same mistake so many of Americans do. Your neighbors, people across the street in the cul-de-sac you don't like anyway, they have made this mistake. They have gone to somebody not named Miller Lending to get a mortgage, and they paid fees. Oh my gosh, what a waste of money. You don't ever have to pay closing costs. You know why? Because all it does is save you about $50 a month on your mortgage. And then when the rates come down, you go, oh my gosh, I wish I could refinance, but I'd have to come up with another $5,000. Don't pay closing costs ever, because you don't have to. Save yourself thousands, then save hundreds when you refinance. I have done 11 mortgages with Miller Lending, have never paid a dime in closing costs. I have saved myself in the neighborhood of $50,000. Wouldn't you like to save $50,000? Miller Lending. On Kildare Farm Road in Cary since 1996. An equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morcell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends, look closer. Right in your community, there are youth who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So, look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing for youth, 50 years strong. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. Every youth who walks into Covenant House gets clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So, look closer at Covenant House and help us fight youth homelessness. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org. poisonhelp.org.
Every second counts in a poison emergency. That's why Poison Help is standing by 24/7 to provide free assistance in over 100 languages. Save Poison Help as a contact in your phone today. Poison Help. 1-800-222-1222.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. Every day, ZipRecruiter helps people who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You lose 4 of your 5 starters in the defensive backfield, and that's just a massive, massive blow for NC State. So last night was the absolute last night that players had the option from NC State anyways to enter the transfer portal. And as you see, 4 players that were critical to what NC State, not only critical to NC State this year, but what NC State wanted to do next year, all entering the transfer portal at the same time is just a really, really big blow.
Yeah. And there are, there's like 19 different transfer portal windows. I don't even know the rules. So I apologize if I don't know all the rules about when you can portal, when you can't. Do you have to use the Flu Network? I don't know. It's a Harry Potter joke in there. I haven't yet opened my Harry Potter pen, my wand pen yet.
Yeah.
I'll get to it.
People don't know, but that was part of your Christmas thing. I thought it was the silliest, funniest thing. Because you have a notebook and you like to write things down.
I do. I'm a notebook person.
Maybe you could wave it to make spells or something.
The wand. That would be nice. That would be nice. Will you please create an additional hour right here where I can get stuff done?
Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
I need just 1 hour. It's all I'm asking.
Yep.
We have a leap year, right, where we have an extra day.
Yeah.
Right? In the Hebrew calendar, there's a leap month. They actually have an extra month. That is not a joke. Every 4 years, there's an extra month because they're on a lunar calendar, so it's 28 days in a month. And so I need more sometimes in a day. Today would be a great day for an extra 1 hour. That's all I need.
I feel that a lot when my alarm clock goes off. Just need 1 more hour.
Yes, but no, there's no but there. We need one. Steve Logan's going to join us in about 15 minutes. Right now, it's time for the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, we heard from Bryce Young. We're going to go back to a little bit more of Bryce Young in a minute, but how about the head coach? We want to give equal time. And Dave Canales met the media yesterday, and, so we talked to Darren Gant yesterday from Panthers.com, and he related to us some of the stuff that Dave Canales said. But let's hear it from the head coach. This was a year of growth for a rookie head coach and a second-year quarterback. Here's Dave Canales' thoughts on he and Bryce.
The natural progression of myself as the head coach, a second-year play caller, learning, growing, taking information in, being humble about the stuff like, I didn't like that call, and being able to take that information and hopefully talking about, impact, hopefully that allows Bryce to see look, we're not looking for perfection here. We're looking for just growth, and let's go for it together. And let's find the solutions together. We want to be a solution oriented team. And so I've loved that we've kind of taken those steps together as an offense. as quarterback, as play caller, head coach, and all that. And for sure, some of the other guys on our staff as well who are, doing things for the first time. So it's a cool story, and it is kind of the nature of what we're doing. And I'm excited for the progress and for where we're heading next.
Victoria, how would you classify my opinion of Dave Canales?
I think it's fair. I would say it's fair to have the reservations that you've seen from him, because he's kind of waffled a little bit from the beginning of the season to the end.
It does appear that he is a little bit different towards Bryce now than he was then. So I'm not sure that I would say that I have been fair. I think in the beginning I have definitely been fair. I think I can be persuaded to lean more towards where Canales has arrived than how he got there.
Right.
Sometimes, and we'll just use the how did Bryce even get back to playing as sort of the microcosm for where Canales is now. Because I contend that had we not had the Andy Dalton car accident, which took him out of whatever that first game was, and kept him out of the next game, I contend we would have never seen, or at least it would have been a long time before we got Bryce Young back on the field. And even when he went to Bryce, it was a little bit of, we're not going to do anything here. We're getting blown out. Why is Andy Dalton still taking snaps, in the fourth quarter? You're getting trucked. But he finally did get to Bryce, again, by accident. It took a while, but at the end, I think he kind of recognized that, okay, there is something here. Maybe something I didn't see initially, but now I see, and let's kind of enhance that. So I think that he was far better, far more creative, far more open to Bryce the last several weeks. And that's also to Dave Canales' credit.
I would agree.
So,
it's been a learning curve for him, too.
It has been. It absolutely has been. All right. Dave says that the defensive coordinator is his defensive coordinator.
Jared will be back with us as our defensive coordinator. We have a lot of things to evaluate, over the next couple of days, and then, certainly, into the off season to reflect on our schemes, to reflect on our personnel, to reflect on the guys we have here going forward. And so, there's a lot of really important conversations, about all those factors. That'll be great to have.
I like stability. I'm a fan of stability. To me, the time to make a coaching change, and there are two levels here. One is, do you have a great team that just isn't able to get over the hump, and you think that it's, whether it's scheme or the ability for the coach to relate what he wants to the players. If that's the issue, then you got to make a move. Then you owe it to the team to make a move. And the other time for me is when you've got really not a lot and you don't think this coach is capable. He might be a good coach. Shad Khan fired Doug Peterson. Shad Khan is the owner of the Jaguars. And he fired Doug Peterson. He says, look, he's a good coach, but we're not where we want to be, blah, 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 moving on. I think the problem with the Jaguars, they don't have a very good team. I think the problem with the Jaguars might be that they don't have the quarterback they want, or the quarterback that they think they should have in Trevor Lawrence. I could be wrong there. But I think that's probably their biggest problem, in that he's an incredible athlete, but he hasn't developed as a quarterback the way Josh Allen has developed in Buffalo. He's got a lot of the same raw tools, but he hasn't taken that step as a quarterback consistently. But sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to really grow into your ability as a coach. It bothers me that they punted on Gerard Mayo in New England. It does. But media members were saying, yeah, he's got to go. Like, I don't cover it, but it bothers me that they allowed only 1 year.
Felt a little premature.
Certainly did. And I'll just say it because I know it's being said. I don't know that, because you may not know this, but Gerard Mayo is black.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen as frequently to white coaches in the exact same situation. It just doesn't. So I don't know what the reasons are for moving on from Gerard Mayo. He was hired by the owner, Robert Kraft. He was fired by the owner, Robert Kraft. And Mayo was a favored player in that system. So, again, I'm not suggesting that it is, but I know that there are people who have suggested that it is. And historically speaking, those people are not wrong. The data speaks to it. Here's Canales on what he learned about himself.
Just openness to learn from people who have done it before, who have been a head coach, and then also just coordinators and position coaches who have been around football for a long time, and to take in all the information possible, and then to try to make the best decisions weekly, really daily, that I feel are best for our team, from a football standpoint. And so hopefully just learning that has helped me, and making sure that I continue to have that openness to collect all the information and make those decisions collectively.
Maybe, I don't even mind if he makes the decisions singularly. That's okay. You're the head coach. You can take advice from a lot of people and say, nope, ain't doing it. We're doing it this way. That's fair too. You have that right as the head coach. But he talked about being open. And again, maybe the bigger picture is that he became more open to what the future could be with this quarterback. Because I do think that at the beginning of the season, and then even when Bryce was forced into playing again, it did seem like there was not a lot of openness to it. But at the end, there definitely was. One quick thing for Bryce Young, and then we'll take a break, and Steve Logan's going to join us on the other side. And we played some of the interview from Miles Sanders yesterday. Sanders on the field in Atlanta after the win, in which he scored the overtime game-winning touchdown, was asked about which touchdown did he like better, because he caught a pass from Bryce, and he immediately went to the Bryce Young touchdown pass over the game-winning touchdown. And the reason for him choosing the touchdown catch had nothing to do with that I showed some versatility, anything like that. He didn't catch a ton of passes in Philadelphia when he was there. He's certainly capable of it, but he didn't catch a ton. But it was more about the relationship he's got with Bryce. And what that speaks to is how Bryce was able to connect with teammates and still connect with teammates in spite of what he had to deal with during the course of the season. And here's Bryce on his teammates.
That means a lot. Again, this is a team sport. We all play for each other, and it's the same way for me. Just being able to go in and build as we are with the foundation of guys we have here with this team. I've been so grateful to be a part of this team, I'm the same way. I have all the confidence in the world in them, all the trust in them, and just knowing that we're in this together. We all are able to trust each other, lean on each other, and play for each other. It's a great thing about being here.
Yeah, it was a tremendous thing to hear from a teammate about how you have influenced them. Really good. I think it speaks to a lot of good things for Bryce Young in the future. When we come back, Steve Logan will join us. We will talk about the progression of Bryce Young, Does he have any reservations still? And then we'll get into State versus East Carolina and comments that Dave Doran made before the bowl game and the dynamics of that rivalry. Yeah, it's a rivalry. After. Steve Logan is next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Tonight's forecast calls for Hurricanes hockey.
Natchez heads up. Back to Orlov. He scores! A 1-2 punch from Dmitry Orlov. It's 3-2 on Orlov's second of the game.
Storm Watch with Adam Gold at 6:30. Puck drop at 7.
Back to Slavin. He shot right on. Rebounds out in front. Chance up front. They score! Here come the Hats!
On your exclusive home for the Carolina Hurricanes. 99.9 The Fan.
Tim Donnelly here for DraftKings Sportsbook. Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TIMD. That's code TIMD for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-185-543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Homeowners, listen up. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. The Fed has dropped rates again. The election is over, and Loan Pronto has APRs in the low 5s for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans. If your current mortgage rate is over 6% or you are in process with another lender, don't settle. Call Loan Pronto now for a second opinion. Lock in a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. And if you act now, you won't make your first payment till February. This 5-minute call saves homeowners an average of $5,000. Lower rates and lower fees. Get your Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Loan Pronto, call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
This is Adam Gold.
When the U.S. Space Force plays Air Force in the military bowl, then I will recognize the
It'll be out of this world.
The anthem.
Sorry, I had to.
The Adam Gold Show.
Two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about quarterbacks, and I want to talk about coaching dilemmas. No better person to talk to than Steve Logan. You have your own little radio gig. I was watching you on a podcast with Steve and Igo, who we talk to every once in a while. And so I'm like, I got to talk to Steve because something that you talked about with Steven the other day is something I wanted to get to with you, but we're going to do that second. Let's start with Bryce Young.
All right.
If we had this conversation about Bryce Young 3 months ago, we would have been like, who knows? Man, it looks terrible. It looks completely lost, like he can't play. And then the progression, the finale was outstanding. What are your thoughts on what Bryce is and what he can be?
Well, it was an absolutely fascinating journey to watch. And, I'll give myself a little bit of credit. I didn't throw the kid in the trash can after the first 3 weeks. I kept saying, you just don't know because, I've fiddled with quarterbacks for too long. And as I was coaching some of them, I still didn't know. And you watch the progression and you watch some of them crash and burn and you watch some of them grow into it. But, I'm happy for Bryce Young. I mentioned to you many times a young man that coached him at Alabama is a good friend of mine, and I talked to him a lot about working with Bryce at Alabama, and he was really high on him. But he did caveat all of the conversation. He said, "Steve, he's just so small."
Yeah.
And I just don't know, and it kind of shocked me when they took him in the first pick of the draft and blah, blah, blah. So even, and there it is again. There's the guy that was working daily with him at the collegiate level. And what's always tricky is you're watching a young man surrounded by elite talent at the collegiate level. And, compare Bryce Young right now, let's say go back to Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, right? You got this guy that's really playing good at Alabama, and it did not translate to the NFL because the talent around him was covering up some fatal flaws. And so you begin to wonder, well, is this the same thing with the young kid? And it looked that way early on, but he's grown. And I'll tell you the best thing that happened, and I can relate to this, because when I was at Tampa Bay, we drafted a young man that was really only like 19, 20 years old, a sophomore out of Kansas State, Josh Freeman. And Josh came in, and he got thrown into the mix way too early. And at no point was it ever discussed to pull Josh back off, bring him off of the starting job and let him sit on the bench for 2 or 3 weeks. And they did that with Bryce Young. And I think, something like that was really beneficial. And I think it was a game changer for the kid to go to the sideline, kind of regroup, let the game, let's see what the game looked like from a little bit different vantage point, and then come back in and see if you can, improve. And that obviously happened. I think it was a really good move by the Panthers. But I'll tell you what it also speaks to is what I consider to be the best model for developing quarterbacks in the NFL is the Green Bay Packers. They're brave enough to bring a guy in, Aaron Rodgers, sit on the bench for 2-3 years and just sit there until Brett Favre has got to go. Well, then bring Jordan Love in and just sit there. And guess what? Jordan Love comes onto the scene, and it's like the Packers never miss a beat, and it's like nobody else in the league is brave enough to do this.
The salary cap doesn't allow you to do it now. The salary cap almost forces you. It shouldn't, but that's the way people have treated it. It forces you to put these quarterbacks on the field immediately and take advantage of the fact that they have low wages for the first 3 or 4 years of their careers, so you can build teams around them. Of course, that's not what the Panthers did. They had a terrible team around their quarterback the first year and didn't have a great team around him this year either. But did the quarterback that you saw in the last handful of games, did that resemble somebody that might have been taken first overall?
Well, I'm still not going to go that far with it. I'm really not. I think that this young man can be competitive. I think you can win with him. But I still, I just always come back when I went into the NFL. I had my mouth shut and ears open and eyes open. I wanted to learn, and I was around guys that had tons of NFL experience. I'm talking about general managers and coaches. And from day one, when I entered into the NFL arena as a coach, there was something that was said over and over and over. And it was this: this is a big man's game. And what that means is that when you're out there evaluating and you're putting your football team together, if you stick to that mantra, it's a big man's game, you're going to miss on a Barry Sanders, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The outlier. You're going to miss on that guy. But you would rather miss every now and then, just really very few times you're going to miss on the Barry Sanders, but you're going to hit over and over and over, and you're going to come out of the locker room, you're going to look right, you're going to be physical, you're not going to have a team full of exceptions. And I'll give you one quick story that I experienced personally. I was at Tampa Bay, and we had a tight end room of 3 NFL tight ends. They were all 6'5", 250, 260, big men. And out of nowhere, the general manager walked in and said, "We just signed Kellen Winslow." And we had to go back and redo our whole playbook, everything, because Kellen Winslow is a boutique football player.
Yeah.
He had some attributes that you could exploit, but let me tell you what it came down to. If Kellen Winslow, if we lined him up at a unit tight end, everybody knew we were running the other way, because Kellen only weighed 240 pounds. He couldn't block anybody.
Right.
All right. So if he was off the ball, guess what? Everybody knew that we were going to throw it. And then very soon, people quit putting their strong safety on Kellen Winslow. They put their nickelback on him. Well, a nickelback could cover Kellen, a strong safety couldn't, but it just spiraled into a bunch of unmanageable exceptions. And, and that's what I'm just generally speaking about Bryce Young being, they list him at 6 feet tall.
Oh, he's not 6 feet. He's 5'10".
No, he's 5'10" at best.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's a small-boned individual. He doesn't have girth. He's not a heavy-set 5'10" like Russell Wilson, for instance. Okay, so I just wonder, where, one good lick and you're looking at injuries, and without durability, you've got no ability.
He got hit pretty hard a bunch last year and survived it. The guy in Indianapolis got hit once and was out for the year, Richardson. Cam Newton.
Guy, the Richardson guy now, that guy, there's something – I haven't watched it real close, but obviously there's something strange going on there that doesn't – it's not all physical. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. When I watch Bryce, if they use him right, if they get him moving, because I think he's exceptional on the run, not just as a runner. I mean, he can obviously do that, but that's not what you want him to do. But moving him out of the pocket, I think he's really, really good. And I think everybody we talked to in the lead up said he is a super smart player. And you can get by being really smart. I've always said, and I think you agree, that the first thing you got to do as a quarterback is just understand the game. It's played more with the mind than it is played with anything else. You have to have the other things, but if you're really smart, I think you can make up for at least some of the deficiencies. I liked what I saw, certainly in the last one. Let me ask you this quick question, though, Steve Logan, about Dave Doran at NC State, because I saw you with Stephen Igo, Hoist the Colors. He does a podcast as well. And the loss, Coach Doran did not want to admit that it was a rivalry before. He said a rival is somebody you play every year. Okay, whatever. I disagree. I think it's a rivalry game, certainly of sorts, for NC State and East Carolina. But the loss, ultimately, you say does some professional damage to Dave Doran.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was a bad loss for Dave, and I'm going to preface this. anything I say about it with this. I think Dave Doran is a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a great job there. Okay, I really believe that. But I do, when the whole East Carolina lead up was going on, and I watched him, make the comments, and it's not really a rivalry, kind of downplaying it. And I just sat there and I said, this is exactly, and I could tell you a Pat Dye story. I don't know if you got time for it, but it
got
relates
time for
all
you.
the way back. There's a long story, not a long story, but a story that I had a conversation with Pat Dye when I was a head coach at East Carolina, and I asked him specifically about the dynamic of East Carolina, North Carolina State. And he gave me an answer, and I won't really bore you with it, but it was really apropos to what we're talking about. And, North Carolina State approaches the East Carolina game 101% wrong, and so does Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, Larry Fedora made a couple of comments going over to East Carolina 7, 8 years ago and ended up getting beat like 800-0. Literally. And, I'm like, these guys, what, they don't get it. And rather, just go ahead and admit that East Carolina is capable. They're capable.
Yep.
Every year they're capable. And for you to not prepare your locker room and just admit they're capable and get them prepared, because those kids at East Carolina, every one of them wanted to go to Carolina. And they wanted to go to North Carolina State, but they weren't recruited there. And when they show up for that game, believe me, their hair is on fire. And so, and to not just admit that, recognize it, and get your team to understand what they're walking into, it's just a fatal mistake. And I watch it happen year after year after year. And if the opposing coaches in state would just take the approach that I'm talking about, they would do exactly what Pat Dye said to me they should do. They would beat the hell out of East Carolina every year because they got better players. They do. And that's the thing that I was speaking to on my radio show, is exactly that dynamic. Now I'll go one step further. You watch, North Carolina State and East Carolina are going to open next year with each other, right? I promise you, Dave Doran and the North Carolina State Wolfpack, I don't know who's going to win the game, but North Carolina State's going to come out of the tunnel for that game. Their hair will be on fire. I promise you. And they'll approach the game properly. And there's going to be a hell of a football game breakout. And it won't be a deal where they, give up an 80-yard run with 2 minutes left or whatever, and throwing interceptions at the end of the game. They should have won the game seven ways. Yeah. But they just didn't, which is kind of a capsule of North Carolina State's season. They were very frustrating to watch this year.
Oh, yes. Especially to their own fans. Especially to their own fans.
Yeah, and to Dave Doran. Yep. It frustrated the hell out of him, too, because those guys are working as hard as they can, and to lose the games they lost, how close they were to being really pretty good, but just never having any finish to them. Oh, week after week after week, it was really a frustrating thing to watch.
Steve Logan, by the way, the Logan Zone, Thursdays, 5 to 7, 94.3 The Game in Greenville. I'm excited to be part of that family as well. I thank you very much for your time, sir. Happy New Year. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Appreciate having me on.
He's great. I love Coach Logan so much.
He was all fired up, too.
He always is.
Yeah.
He's also hopped up on, I think, cold medicine.
Yes, that too.
It's a good thing it's radio and not coming in the studio the way he did. We used to do at one point it was twice a week. He was awesome. Gosh, I could talk to him forever. He's crazy, as you might expect. It's
and
just
loves Dr. Pepper.
Complete nut job. But most super smart people, and I've used the term savant. Like, I know people think I'm just blowing smoke. Brian Geisinger I'm trying to think of the, I think it's a commercial you see where there's like somebody at a chalkboard and they've got all of these mathematical formulas. They're really in their brain, right? That's the way Brian looks at basketball. I am just not kidding. He is able to dissect plays and situations better than anybody I know. And he speaks the way coaches speak. Brian does. That's the way Logan is about football. He is a savant. And those people are often a little crazy.
Yeah.
So
it comes with the territory.
Yes, it should. It certainly should. And in his case, it does. But I think he's right in this way. I think we would all agree, because I think there are two different conversations about Dave Doran. The first conversation about Dave Doran is, man, the program is in very good shape. If you're an NC State football fan, there is a consistency about their program that is impressive. I understand that we all want more. We want the peaks to be higher. That is what hasn't happened for NC State. The peaks haven't been high enough. Now, maybe we were always going to be wrong about this year. And it's the difficult nature of dealing with today's transfer portal impact on your roster, both outgoing and incoming. It is not always easy to find the right fit incoming. NC State went for Brennan Armstrong last year. That did not work. They ended up using M.J. Morris, and then M.J. Morris was thinking about the future and money and opportunity elsewhere and pulled himself from the lineup, which I agree, Dave Doran was right and teammates were right if they chose to feel like they were let down by M.J. Morris. They went back to the portal for Grayson McCall. Unfortunately, McCall suffered a horrific looking concussion and retired from playing football. By the way, congrats to him.
I know.
For accepting a job as basically an offensive assistant back at Coastal Carolina, where he played first.
Right.
So he is getting into the coaching part of this business. I wish him nothing but the best.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't work, but they found in C.J. Bailey, I think, somebody who could be an absolute star in the future. Now you've got to make him the focal point of your offense and all the stuff that goes around that. And what I mean by that is pay him. Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
That is stunning.
Yeah.
Right? Stunning. What I think is he will not be the highest paid player in college next year. That's what I think.
Yeah.
It just shows you what the portal and NIL, and remember the house settlement is coming too, what all of that is going to do to the landscape of college football. Unbelievable. All right, we're going to take a break. Going to come back. We'll do a rewind. But before we do that, Chad LaRose played with Eric Staal throughout Chad's entire NHL career with the Hurricanes. Also played with him for the 1 year in the minor leagues. We'll talk to Chad about his friend Eric Staal next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It's that time of year to come see me. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on those you love the most.
By getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They're safe and effective.
Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains.
So make sure you don't miss that family gathering and protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Get protected this season with updated COVID-19 and flu shots. Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
Oh, football fans, time to buckle up because for the first time ever, 5 straight days of playoff football in college and pro, FanDuel celebrating with the great playoff payoff. I love that. Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and that is a no-sweat same-game parlay every day for all 5 days. With a no-sweat same-game parlay, you can combine your bets from the same game for a chance at even bigger winnings. If it doesn't hit, you'll get your bonus bets back. FanDuel.com/AGS. Be a part of it. FanDuel.com/AGS and have fun. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Final deadline to enroll is January 15th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
Dan on Twitter, who you got? Robert Plant or Elvis Presley? That is actually very difficult because I don't want to disrespect Elvis Presley. I think it's Elvis. It's very, very close. And that is an incredible question.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We'll rewind in a couple of minutes. Big game for the Hurricanes tonight. Some encouraging things that I think we've seen over the last several, including some losses that weren't that bad. I had a long back and forth with a listener, a Hurricanes fan, about the first period against Pittsburgh. And Carolina trailed 2-0. But I characterized the period. It certainly was. It looked messy because Carolina could not. They really had a hard time stringing passes together. They looked disjointed offensively. But I didn't think they were terrible in the first period. They were just misfiring in a lot of different ways. But it wasn't lifeless. Even though they were down 2-0, they allowed almost nothing to the Penguins. They had one mistake, which led to the first goal. The second goal was just an elite play made by Erik Karlsson and a great shot by Michael Bunting, our old friend. But Carolina could have easily scored at the end of the first period. They could have easily scored several times during the period. They just were going through a little bit of a funk. Second period, everything changed primarily because the best player was dominant, and that was Sebastian Aho. Maybe you'll hear from Rod Brind'Amour in a second. Anyway, I thought that whole thing was, to me, I thought Carolina got a lot of what they needed out of that game when you saw the way that Aho, along with Jarvis, played. Now, tonight, they need Pyotr Kochetkov to play as well as he played against Florida on the road. That was a win. And as well as he played against the Rangers on the road. That was a win because he probably stared 200 feet down the ice and saw elite goaltending, and he knew that he had to match that. I actually think in New York he exceeded it. Against Florida, he was as good as Bobrovsky. Will he be as good as Andrei Vasilevsky tonight? Don't know. But that will go a long way to determining whether or not the Hurricanes have a chance to win this game. Anyway, we'll get to some of that in the rewind. But before we do that, Chad LaRose played with Eric Staal. Coming up on Sunday, the Hurricanes will retire Eric Staal's jersey. And LaRose played, I don't know, a decade with Staal. Some in Raleigh, some in Lowell in the minor leagues. Because Staal spent 1 year, the lockout year, he spent in the American Hockey League. And I asked Chad LaRose basically what made Eric such a great player.
Eric was, pretty much good at everything, right? His size alone, but he could skate really well. He was a phenomenal skater, phenomenal with the puck, which is hard to come by when you're that big, and had a great shot. And some people, you might not see it as much as guys like me wearing it on their sleeve, but man, was he competitive. He was one of the most competitive people I've ever played with. He had a fire under him that drove everybody else, and I don't know if everybody always got to see that. I mean, I had a front row seat to it for about 10 years, so he was a super competitive guy.
See, when players look that smooth, people don't see it, right?
Exactly, yeah. And he was everything about him, right? I mean, he came right in and was just – I played with him the year of the lockout, and he had to come down to Lowell, and that's kind of where I got a front row seat of how his preparation was and how big he was in the locker room and how great he was every day at practice and on the ice in games. I mean, he scored a ton of goals that year, and that was a big lockout year because there was a lot of NHL guys down there. And just to see how tough he was to even to play against in, like, 3-on-3s down low and stuff like that, his reach was, for me, a guy like me, it was unfathomable to even stop him. So he had that smoothness about him, even off the ice, never too high, never too low. He was a great person to be around, to see that all the time, because I was a very emotional, wear it on my sleeve. it wasn't pretty what I got done, like I was gonna outwork you, but it wasn't pretty. He was always just really smooth and made it look effortlessly, even though he's given everything he got.
When he played that year in Lowell, after playing an entire year in the NHL, there are a lot of players would have had, this is going to sound, I'm not in any way trying to be right. A lot of people would have had an attitude like, I'm just here because I have to be. How was he?
You know what? Eric is the type of guy, like you would think that, right? And he was just one of us. And Eric, to be honest with you, surprisingly is one of those guys that I can honestly say never changed. He never changed once. I started with him that year in 2003, 2004 is when I signed too with Carolina. And then 04, 05 we were together, and then we were together the rest of them till 2015 when I was done. But he never changed, which was so cool about him. He was always this humble, good guy on the ice, good guy off the ice, somebody who you could always talk to, was never arrogant, which is, I've seen so many, I've been around long enough to see guys, it changes them a little bit, and, rightfully so for some of those people. And Eric was never like that, and that's one of the things that's so attractive about him as people, gravitate to him, because he was always the same.
I'm telling you, that was LaRose was great on Eric Staal. Absolutely great. Eric Staal will be honored on Sunday. He'll have his number retired next to Rod Brind'Amour and Ron Francis and Glenn Wesley. Before numbers retired in Hurricanes history, nobody will ever again wear 2, 10, 17, and 12. My guess is 30, which has not been worn. 30 will go up at one point, and I think it will be interesting to see what happens with 14. Nobody has worn that. I think it will be interesting to see what happens with 11. Jordan Staal. Now, if you win a Stanley Cup, right? So, but number 12 will never be worn again. And throughout the whole week, we'll have different things regarding Staal on the show. Tomorrow, Trip Tracy will be in studio with us.
I know it. I asked if he was going to bring Frank.
I don't think he's going to bring Frank.
It's
I don't
okay.
think he's going to bring Frank.
I could keep an eye on him back here.
But Trip will be in studio with us for two reasons. One, to talk a little bit about Eric, and the other so we can honor him for being named the North Carolina Co-Sportscaster of the Year. So that was announced today. Trip and Anish Shroff, the voice of the Panthers, will share the Sportscaster of the Year in-state honors this season. And Luke DeCock was named the Sports Writer of the Year from the News and Observer, and we'll try to catch up with him at some point this week as well. But there's no possible way that I could have been happier with I was told, I think it was Thursday or Friday of last week, that it was Trip. And I actually would not have been as happy had I won. The only way I could have been as happy would be if I was the co. But frankly, and this is no shade on Anish Shroff, because he's a fabulous, fabulous broadcaster. I wanted Trip to have that honor by himself. I have so much respect for somebody who tries so hard to be accurate and fair while at the same time being a fan.
Yeah, and he's such a nice person.
It's wonderful. It is so hard to do. This is my own feeling on broadcasters, local or national. Like, I root for the Hurricanes. I make no bones about the fact that I am a fan of the Hurricanes. I root for them. But here's what I want. I want the people who listen, even if you're not a Hurricanes fan, to believe what I think about what happens during a game. And if I'm a homer, you can't do that. Just can't do it. And that is my biggest pet peeve with local broadcasts. We listen to them. Sometimes we have highlights. It annoys me when I hear cheering on the broadcast. It annoys me when I hear, woohoo!
Right. Yeah.
It bothers me to no end.
And you'll hear people doing this for a very long time do that.
Yes. Like, I get it with college programs. I understand, right? Because theoretically speaking, the audience only wants to hear pro them. Oh, we'd be getting screwed. This is no. I'm going to bring up an example, but I'm not trying to be critical of this at all. The late Bob Harris, who was a multiple winner of this award, by the way, and deserved a phenomenal play-by-play man, right? Looked at it from a Duke point of view only. Totally get it. Totally get it. But as a neutral, it's hard for me to pull out of those situations, and I could have used any example. It's hard for me to pull out of those situations what is accurate. I'm telling you, I promise you, that what you hear, and I'll tell this to Tripp tomorrow when he's here, what you hear from Tripp Tracy is as fair as you are going to find among local broadcasters. I could not be more happy that Tripp is the co-winner of that award. Victoria, thank you. See you tomorrow.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Who doesn't love football playoff games? We have 5 straight days of playoff games starting Thursday, a couple of college games, and then 3 days of the NFL playoffs. So buckle up. And FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is celebrating with the great playoff payoff, a no-sweat same-game parlay every day for all 5 days. Combine your bets from the same game for a chance at even bigger winnings, and if it doesn't hit, you get a bonus bet back. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Be part of this epic run. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. The great playoff payoff. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. 21 and over and present in North Carolina.